This week's video, we're going to look at, we're going to the woods. Okay, we're going to the woods. We're taking some chainsaws. We're going to knock one or two trees down. But we're in the last stages of getting ready for the Canadian Lumberjack Championships. And a lot of people watch the sport on TV. They watch it maybe live. And they wonder, gee, that guy, he chopped really fast. This guy didn't. What's going on there? And there's lots of reasons behind why. Some guys are in better shape. Some guys have better axes. Some guys have better wood. And what people don't realize is how much effort goes into securing competition wood so that it's even. Now, in order for competition wood to be, you could go out and if you want a bunch of poplar blocks, you go to a lumber yard, a mill yard, buy a bunch of logs that were cut all over the country. You could turn them like we did last year, and they could be hard as bones and very uneven. So the goal is always to take your trees from the same stand, and if possible for the events, take all your blocks from the same tree. That way everybody's chopping exactly the same wood. So knowing that, we're going to go on a little excursion here this week with the East Coast Lumberjack. We're going to go up the road on Keswick Ridge. I want to show you a little bit of the what the woods are like up there, and then I'm going to show you the trials and tribulations of trying to find good competition wood. And then I'll show you what we actually secured for blocks for the butcher block. So the butcher block is a big log, 2 men chop it. It's a great event to watch, but getting the wood is a little bit tricky, but we do have a source. Hey gang, we're out at East Coast Lumberjack and we're in the beautiful woods of Keswick Ridge. And we need a large, very large poplar tree. And back here on Good Spring Farms, we have what we're after. So I'm getting my felling lever. And my steel, I don't know whether the thing's gonna run or not. Last time I had my 660 out, didn't run that well. But I took it to the shop, they say nothing's wrong with it, so we're gonna try it. So there's, down the road here, we're on a bit of a course it's called Ridge, Keswick Ridge, for a reason, because we're on the top of a hill. So down this slope here, and I've got a 2-wheel drive truck. Now it's fairly dry in here. It is a little bit cobbly, but I should be able to get up out of here if I get a little bit of weight on the back of the truck. The struggle will be to get these great big birds up there. So I'm gonna go for a little walk in the woods here. I'll show you what we got. So there's lots of nice ash in here. Well, nice. Nice is a relative term. They're nice for trees. They're not great for handlewood. Here's one right here. Okay, it's about 12, 13 inches DBH. Not too bad as far as straightness goes, but it's got a lot of knots in it. But just past this rock wall, we've got what we're after. So, this is the beast here. I can just get my arms around it, so it's 6 foot around in circumference. And it's pretty clear up there, quite a ways. So we need large logs for the butcher block, and we need some for crosscut. So I'm figuring the bottom end will give us some for crosscut, big stuff, and then the butcher block all in the middle. Now, it's a funny treat. I'll show it to you. So when we go up it this way, there you can see the hook in that. Okay, so it goes up there and so it's leaning back, but then it hooks out a lot. So we've got a lean, we've got a crook, we've got the crown. I don't know, hanging a little bit off the stump. We've got wind blowing up the hill. If I take it towards the road, out here towards the road where the truck is, I have to take my blocks shorter distance, but then I'm going to clean up the top. Because the top will land right on the road. if I take it with the wind, I kind of go up through here. So there's a little bit of an opening up this way, right up through here. And the top I can just chunk up and leave there because there's all kinds of other brush there. But then I've got to lug my blocks a lot farther over this rock pile. I think, now the other thing is the damage it causes. If I go this way, there's a beech tree right here, but it's kind of an ugly tree. We don't grow great beech trees in New Brunswick. They always get hypoxylon canker and cause a lot of trouble. And there's a couple of ironwood out through here. So there's not a lot in the way out this way. And it's closer. Maybe I'll go that way. Talking myself into it while I'm explaining to you guys. And then I just got to clean the brush off the road, and I can throw it off to the side, then chunk it up a bit. But I think that's the best idea. So I've got some dead stuff here I need to clean out. And if I can find a nice spot to set you, I'll set you up. And I usually don't get I didn't bring my tripod, but I usually don't get a lot of pictures of me doing the work. So I've got to do a little bit of cleaning. So these dead ones right here, they've got to come out. Then I've got to notch it here, and I'll use my wedges to push it that way. Now, the wind is kind of on our side, not on our side, but to the side of the tree. So, but it's intermittent, so we may just wait till we have a lull in the wind. So that's the plan. Alright, so now that I have the notch out, it looks like it's really leaning back. always the way it goes. So that's the notch there, and you can see it's got that back lean back that way, and then the top comes over here. So we're looks like we're fighting the lean. But I've got wedges, so as long as I leave lots of holding wood, wedges will usually do the trick for you. Oh. Okay, you can see fairly decent there. So I was right the first time. the top was out there enough that I actually pulled it. But we got a. She took it took a young poplar with it. And the top is in the middle of the road, so we've got a pile of cleanup to do. But the good news is the beach is fairly unscathed. That small ironwood is in good shape. We did take the top off this little poplar, but for the most part, for a tree that size, we're in pretty good shape. Go take a look at damage out here. That's just an old balsam fir. That one doesn't matter. Yeah, so it took that. Took a small poplar with it. We can see it in here. There's a small poplar right there that it took with it. And the good news is there's not a whole lot out here in the road. So here's a truck on the road. We turn around and look down the road. She's covered with large tooth. So large tooth aspen. She's a little chippier than your trembling aspen, but it's decent wood to chop. So that's not bad. There it is laying there across that little ravine. So I'll spare you spare you limbing it. I think there's better things a guy can do than to watch the East Coast Lumberjack limb a tree. So what I'm going to do then is I'm going to take these blocks. They're the same length as my chainsaw, so about 30-32 inches. Although my barn chain is 36 because that's what I cut my hickory with. So I got to come back there 6 inches to get 30 inches.
But I should be able to get my crosscut wood out of that end. So 2 or 3, actually probably 4 crosscuts. And then the rest of this log here we're going to take in 30-inch lengths for the butcher block. And then I just have to roll it up the hill and out to the truck. So we'll come back here in a bit once I clean up and start rolling the logs. I do a little bit of intermittent filming too, so just show you how we're coming along. So this is the hazard of competition wood. And poplar. If you find a poplar that when it loses a branch up high, poplar's notorious for it. Rot will get in there and it'll go right into the center of the tree. It'll travel down, it'll travel up. So the stump, as you can see here, is nice and clean. It's nice clear wood. So this crosscut wood here, these first 2 chunks are beautiful. Okay, and these, look at the stump. You can tell here the stump. It's clean as a whistle. So there's no rot here, which is good. We take that off because it got butt flare and there's compression tension wood in that, so it's not going to be good. So the first 2 blocks are beautiful. They're 16 or 17 inches across. So it's nice big wood for crosscut. So there's 2 of those. So then we start up the tree here. We've got 1 block right here, and it's clear. So we look at the end of it. Nice clear wood. Little bit of punk in it, not much. Second block, same thing. Third block right here. See, you're just starting to get a little bit of rot here. Fourth block, not bad. Fifth block, and we need 7. Fifth block, still not bad on this end. But if we turn around and look at this end here, okay, we're just starting to get into some rot here. So this is block number 6. This is block number 7. Okay, right here. And you can see we've got a fair bit of center rot there. And then we go up and the center rot, might as well show you what's causing this. So center rot is caused by this here. Let's look. So here's your branch. It's died, and you can see here the brown conch that's starting to grow on it. When you can see this brown conch, this tells you that that rot is going into the center of the tree. And here it is here on the next piece up. Okay, so you can actually even see here where it came in through. This is a knot as well that it came in through on the outside, and you can see where the rot just came right into the center and started to rot in the center of the tree. So there's another conch right here. On this one you can see the conch right there growing. And then if you look down here below, you can see where it also went in there on that one. Okay, so those are the culprits. That's what causes your center rot. Now the only problem is, I have to go up, and it's not as big. It's only about 14 inches on that. The next clear log is up here. After I go through 1, 2, 3, 4. So I go 4 blocks, then I get some clean wood again. Of course, that's up above where the branches came off. But of course, it's substantially smaller. So the age-old question, what do you do? It's all from the same tree, which is a good thing. So the wood's all going to be identical for the choppers. Problem is, we've got 5 clean and then 2, actually this block here is no good because it's got a knot in the middle. So these last 2 down here are going to have, that one there might work. So I'll have to measure them. But I've got 7 here that will work. The center rot ones, I'll probably bring a couple of them back just to try them, see what it chops like. But I know it's large too, so it's going to be chippy wood. Crisp wood. So when you chop it, the axe doesn't sink quite as far as it does in trembling, because trembling's a lot softer. But it's chippy. The chips will blow out nice for you. So not quite as fast chopping. So now we got to go up and clean the top. I'm not going to film that, so I'll go. I just want to show you this here so you understand. Competition wood's a tricky thing, okay, when you're getting comp wood. It needs to be uniform. So all of the same tree is good, but it needs to be good wood. And punky in the centers, it could be an advantage, could be a disadvantage. It all depends on how it breaks. Sometimes your axe will get stuck in it. It'll squeeze your axe, so it's a disadvantage. Sometimes it's an advantage because, of course, it's a weaker wood. So, but I think we're going to have to go with it because this is what we got. And I don't want to waste another tree, so we'll load her up. Well, how did we make out with our wood? The punk in the wood is a problem, okay? And if you're really serious about having even wood, there's only one thing you can do. You got to cut another tree. And thankfully for us, there was an identical tree. There's actually 5 of them right there in the same spot, and they're all the same genetics. So we know they're identical trees. So I want to show you what we did. So this is the wood that we were into here, okay? So you've got a rotten center right here. And of course, this one here had the rotten center as well, but it's only 13 inches. So again, the other ones we had were 16. So there's an identical tree right there, so I cut a second tree. And in the second tree, we had the same thing. So we had, you can tell this rot here is a lot more pronounced. It's a lot darker. It's further rotted, further decayed. So, but you can see it was actually a big log. So this one here, this log here is a pretty good sized log. So when we get down to the butt of it, we actually had 3 more pieces that were clean, which was great. So what we wound up doing for the competition, we took 3 from the bottom of that tree, and again we left the butt piece in there because you don't want to be chopping a butt stick. So again, we try to make our wood as fair as we can. So these 2 trees were growing 15 feet apart. So same soil, same weather, same amount of rain, same everything. And again, I'd say the genetics, because of course we all know poplar grow from an underground root. So in all likelihood, they were exactly the same tree. So here they are now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we've got 8 blocks, and we sized them all the same. So they're all 48 inches around on the outside, which is right around 16 inches in diameter. And then the 2 big ones, the two butt sticks right there, they're a crosscut wood. Okay, so those 2 there, that's what they come out of. So this is our wood, and yes, there's a pile of it. So we've got 11 inch up there. That's for the intermediates. This is all 10 inch and 12 inch here. More 12 inch here. This is all 9. So you can see this was all cut and wrapped within a week. So from the time it was on the stump to the time it's wrapped like this here, which keeps the moisture in, 1 week. And even the big stuff that we just got, it was what, 3 or 4 days from when the time it hit the ground to when we had it wrapped. So that's what a competition's worth of wood looks like. We've got a bunch of chops, ladies chops, intermediate chops, and open chops, and then we have all the sawing wood. There's even some right here. This is pine, white pine, eastern white pine for sawing, all out of the same log. So when we throw that in the bunks, all 4 of those logs came from within 8 feet of each other. Okay, right there. So it's that stuff on top of it. Don't know what that is on top of it, but that's our wood. Okay, so again, when you're doing a competition wood, you want it as even as possible. And if somebody does a good job in making sure the wood is really even, at the end of the day, the best chopper will win the event. So that's the key. You don't want somebody finish second or third or last or something because they draw a bad block. Okay, that is just bad business all around. And again, I know I'm a little bit of a fanatic, but you ask anybody in this racket, they'll tell you, yeah, you're right, to get beat by a block, not fun. They remember that the rest of their life. So we had that happen here a few years ago. Somebody didn't make the national finals because he drew a bad block. And really, it's too bad, because that person has all the potential and all the ability to be a lot higher than they are. But they drew a bad block. And that happened to me a couple years ago with the Champions Trophy. My underhand block was a bone, western white pine. I had my best axe. Took me over a minute to get through it. Now again, I am getting older. And a lot of people thought, oh, he's just washed up. But of course, that's why this spring at the Nationals, the qualifiers made me feel so good, because I finally had a good block and I chopped it in 36 seconds. So the old fart is capable of it. So again, I try to do my best to make sure that that our wood at the Keswick, it's called the Canadian Lumberjack Championships, and we do a pile of work to make sure our wood is as even and as nice as we can get it. So that's a little trip around the block with East Coast Lumberjack, showing you exactly what we do to get our competition wood. And it maybe gives you a little bit of insight into the effort that it goes in to making a good show. Anyways, all the best for a great day. East Coast Lumberjack signing off.